today kicks off the 2013 Palm Springs International Film Festival. Always an exciting time in the desert with all the big stars coming in. Richard Gere, Helen Hunt, Helen Mirren, so many others being feted and honored. World-class movies being premiered. And another one of the luminaries in town from New York City, Tom Hayes, the writer, producer, director of a new film called Smiling Through the Apocalypse, which will make its debut tomorrow afternoon. 2:30 is when they're going to screen this new film about Tom's dad, Harold Hayes, who was the head of Esquire magazine in the Mad Men days between 1963 and 1973. Fascinating film, and I got a chance to screen it, and a lot of names that you'll recognize are in this movie. And to talk about the screening and about being in Palm Springs is the creator, an old friend, Tom Hayes, with us on the air this morning. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Fitz. Glad to be here in Palm Springs today.
There you go. A little better than the cold weather in the Big Apple.
Oh, it was really cold, and now we're seeing lots of sunshine, and I'm really excited about my movie being seen here tomorrow.
Well, you should be. It's a great piece of work, Tom, and no, obviously it was a labor of love about your dad, Harold Hayes. Tell us a little bit about your inspiration for making this film.
Well, Fitz, it was a little complicated because when he passed away in 1989, I took his ashes to East Africa, which was a place that he loved. And he'd written a book. His first book was called The Last Place on Earth. And so it was fitting that we would take his ashes to East Africa. And I went up in a helicopter and I spread them over the wildebeest migration. And that was it. So in 2000, fast forward to 2007, and Vanity Fair published this tribute to him, which was 19 pages long. And this is 18 years after he had passed. And I thought, my goodness, who gets that? So I figured it was time to actually sit down and do something a little bit more concrete, at least with the tools and skills that I had. So I dropped everything in 2009 and went running after everybody who had worked for him and interviewed them. So this is a film that basically traces all the things that you've ever sort of really wondered what your dad did during the day, and it comes together in fragments and pieces, and there's a story from the beginning to his passing in 1989.
You have many very recognizable faces and writers who are in your movie. Why don't you go down the list for us?
Well, one of my first interviews was with photographer Robert Frank, but from there we went to visit Gore Vidal and Peter Bogdanovich, and then it was Nora Ephron, Tom Wolfe, Gay Talese, Robert Benton, I think I said, and there's about 45 people that whose lives he touched and gave the freedom to express their art through the pages of his magazine.
You've got Hugh Hefner in there.
Go ahead.
You've got Hugh Hefner in there. Candace Bergen.
Oh yeah. Well, Hugh Hefner actually got his start at Esquire in the early '50s. And so I think that we were the only people who've actually interviewed him about Esquire. I mean, normally it's about Playboy, but Esquire was a huge influence on the creation of Playboy. So we had him comment and pay a little tribute to the magazine as an inspiration.
It's definitely a slice of life for that era, 1963 to 1973, Tom, and I found it fascinating. You mentioned spreading your dad's ashes, that he was an environmentalist, and the movie Gorillas in the Mist was made based on a story that he wrote.
True. It was soon after Dian Fossey had been murdered that Life magazine commissioned him to go to Africa and Rwanda and write about the murder. And so that article became the basis of the movie The Gorillas in the Mist. It was that article that they optioned to make it into a movie. But he then took the research that he did and created an entire book, which is called The Dark Romance of Dian Fossey. And that was published posthumously by his widow, my stepmother, Judy Kessler.
Well, Tom, it's got to be such an exciting project for you, and obviously so close to your heart, and it's obvious the respect and love that you had and still have for your dad. Also, something interesting in the movie that I found out, I didn't know that your dad was the original co-host of 2020.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird fluke in his career. I mean, he, after Esquire moved into television, he had a talk show on the local public network, public TV network in New York, and after that was asked to start a news magazine show for ABC. And he and Robert Hughes, after, I guess, about a year of development, wound up on the air co-hosting the first episode, which actually didn't work out so well. And so I think they found Hugh down somewhere, and they quickly replaced the two of them. And my father was a little bit angry at the situation and tried to write a musical comedy based on ABC News called Wjjz World, which was never produced, but he showed it around town to his friends who were, writers and composers of Broadway shows. And so somewhere in the archive, Wjjz World is still waiting to be produced.
Well, this is a fascinating look at your dad and an amazing era in American cultural history. Esquire magazine, so creative, so edgy, so progressive for its time. Your dad just thinking outside of the box constantly. And I don't want to talk too much about it, Tom, because I don't want to give away anything. And I think we've pretty much painted a good broad stroke to hopefully get our audience to put it on their list of must-see films. And I know you're having more than one screening, but I'm excited about tomorrow's screening. 2:30 at the Regal Cinema will be your premiere of Smiling Through the Apocalypse. And then you and I will be doing a question and answer period after that, which I'm honored to host with you.
Well, it's great to have you, Fitz. It's been a long time. We've certainly done a lot together in New York, and it's only fitting that we do something here in your turf. So thank you so much for doing that.
Well, totally. It's an honor. It's my honor, Tom, and excited about you getting to premiere this labor of love at one of the top film festivals in the world, the Palm Springs International Film Festival, and I know you're excited. Do you know when the other screenings of the movie are, other than tomorrow, if someone can't make it tomorrow?
Yeah, there's two more. There's one on Monday at 11 o'clock, also at the Regal. And then on Wednesday, the 9th, at 10 a.m., if anyone wants to play hooky, that's at the Palm Canyon. So I invite certainly everyone to come on out and smile through the apocalypse. If you can pronounce it afterwards, you're a lot better than many other people, but
At first, I started calling it Surviving the Apocalypse.
Well, one of the key lines of Esquire in the 60s was a picture of Richard Nixon laughing, and the caption was, "Why is this man laughing?" And "Why is this man laughing?" goes hand in hand with Smiling Through the Apocalypse. So,
well, very cool. Tom Hayes, creator of Smiling Through the Apocalypse, we congratulate you on this fascinating film. We encourage everyone to catch one of the screenings. I'll see you at 2:30 tomorrow at the screening at the Regal Cinema. And all the best with this. I know you're going to go a long way with it, and we encourage everyone to come out and support you, Tom.
Great. Thanks so much, Fitz.
Looking forward to tomorrow. Tom Hayes, the director, producer, and writer of Smiling Through the Apocalypse. 2:30. Check out the screening, the premiere tomorrow at Regal Cinema in Palm Springs.